have Nicole here, and Nicole has been chosen as one of the Young Women of Distinction by GSUSA. She's one of 10 girls. They choose 10 girls every 2 years, so it's a very limited group. New Jersey has been in this category for 2 of the last 3. Our council only has had 2 Young Women of Distinction. So out of 30 girls to have 2 out of 112 councils, that's pretty impressive. So it's a major achievement, and I'd like to introduce to you Nicole.
Thank you. It's kind of reassuring to know that I'm not the only one that listens to Maroon 5. But yes, thank you everyone that is here today for allowing me this opportunity and this honor of speaking before all of you. So my name is Nicole DeSario. This year I was honored as one of the 10 National Young Women of Distinction, but only thanks to Girl Scouts Art New Jersey, because they were the ones that recognized my Gold Award, my Girl Scout Gold Award project, among many, and they nominated me for the award in the first place. So thank you, Girl Scouts Art New Jersey, for that. My Girl Scout Gold Award had centered around teenage relationship abuse, awareness and prevention by means of education and legislative advocacy work. I championed a bipartisan bill that is now law, mandating that safe dating education be incorporated into the health curriculum of grades 7 through 12 in all schools in New Jersey. I also ran a workshop for middle school students on violence in the media and dating violence. Since I completed that Gold Award project when I was a sophomore in high school, I'm now a senior, I'm 18. I have created my own school group of high school students that educate our peers and other members of the community about the issue of relationship abuse. We use presentations and interactive performances to strike interest in our audiences. We've hosted many workshops, including actually this past November, we did a workshop for Girl Scout cadets. We called it Self-Image, Relationship in the Technology Age. It covered the Monitor Award, which was a media journey requirement. And so that was very enjoyable to actually give back to younger scouts and connect it with my MASK program. Yes, the group that I created was called MASK, Montgomery Advocates for Solidarity and Kindness. So we've hosted many workshops, and we are also assisted regularly by a nonprofit agency, the Resource Center of Somerset. I'm also a National Youth Advisory Board member for loveisrespect.org and Break the Cycle. I co-chair the interactive committee on there, so I get to make lots of videos and essays and stuff. It's kind of a hobby. This membership on the board has really allowed me to connect with other teenagers and young adults across the country that are all really focused in domestic violence and the same issue as myself, and it's really enjoyable. The original concept for the club MASK that I created was really only focused on educating teens about teen dating violence, but since I established it, we have really broadened our scope to include topics like healthy relationships, bullying, respect, self-image, and understanding how media and technology really play a part in influencing our self-image and our decision-making abilities, especially of young girls. So members of MASK pledge that they will not be bystanders to abuse or disrespect. And each member has been able to find their niche within the club because there are so many things that one can do. Members are only limited to the degree to which they want to be involved. A member can perform, they can sing, edit videos, photograph, host discussions, write original works, or even champion legislation. And when you think about it, all those things that I just described about MASK are principles and qualities that we can relate to Girl Scouts. I've been a Girl Scout for 13 years. From the very first time I learned that from the very first time I learned the Girl Scout promise in Daisy Scouts, I pledged to never be a bystander to abuse or disrespect in a different way. But I've been brought up with the confidence to always respect myself and my peers. just as we teach in my math group. I have no doubt it was largely due to the influence of Girl Scouts on my life that made me capable of creating a group with so many similar principles. After 13 years of being a Girl Scout, you pick up a few key life skills. Many of them end up being integral in completing your Gold Award project, your Girl Scout Gold Award project. Here are some of the things that I've learned from being a Girl Scout over the years. So, first off, I learned how to be a good entrepreneur with cookie sales. I used to be an ice hockey player, like on a boys hockey team, so I would always bring the form with me for after the hockey game was over, and when the parents would leave the locker room, I would pass it around, so the really hungry boys would all just sign off lots of cookies, which is pretty great. I also learned how to be selfless and support your friends. So when it came time in middle school where one of my best friends had actually lost one of their parents, I was able to know how to deal with being a good supportive friend for her, and I learned that through the principles and teaching that you learned through Girl Scouting. And so instead of trying to talk and trying to tell her that things that make her promises where you can't really say anything to something that tragic, I learned that the best thing to do is just listen to someone that's in pain. I also learned how to be aware of the effect of my actions on myself. So in Camboree one year, we were making candles, and anyone that has ever made a candle knows you get a string and you dip it in a nice hot wax, and you do it over and over again into the cold water into the wax. For some reason, I decided it would be a good idea for me to stick my entire arm into the hot wax and make a cast out of my arm. So I learned the effects of my actions on myself. The troop leaders were pretty distressed about that, but you learn a bunch of things in Girl Scouts. I also learned how to be aware of your effects on your surroundings. So the way that we carry ourselves, the way that we interact with others, can significantly impact someone's day. You never know what a stranger is going through when you smile at them, when you pass by them on the street. So when you offer a hand to someone in need, you never know exactly how much they really needed it. And one of the things that I really appreciate that my mom gave me last year was this little pin that I keep on my backpack. And it's kind of been my mantra, like the way that I use this little saying that's on this pin. It says, smile, pass it on. It's a little red pin, and the first thing I did was I put it around the back of my backpack because as I'm going through the hallway, it's a bright red tag on my back, and then you never know who's like walking behind you and is going to read that, and you never know what the impact is going to be on someone's day. I also learned that from Girl Scouts that it's okay to keep moving. When I was younger, as you can probably assume from the fact that I stuck my entire hand in hot wax, I was that wild kid. I was the one that in first grade got written up in the bad book a lot. Yeah, I was not a very good child. But lately, I realized that like it's okay that that was my personality when I was growing up. And I mean, I always wanted to just keep moving. I wanted to not sit still. I didn't want to stay in my chair, and that's exactly who I am today. Especially now that I've had a lot of coffee. So I am definitely that person that wants to keep moving and wants to not sit idly by and watch the issues in our community just go on all around us. So we want to encourage our girls to keep moving. Just keep the hot wax away from them. I also learned from Girl Scouts, especially when doing my Gold Award project, that you need to work within the system. So if you're working with a school system, you need to follow the rules, which is not something I like to do very often, but there's a specific format you have to follow. I also realized that today with the amendment thing that we were trying to do today, there's like a very specific format that you have to follow. So I guess that's going to follow me throughout my life, and I'm just going to have to learn to stick to the rules. I learned from Girl Scouts to set goals and to follow through with them. It shows me, Girl Scouts has showed me that I have a voice. I'm now passing along that teaching to the work that I do in Mask. I focus on giving victims of abuse a voice. I've learned that if I want to get something done, I can, especially with the Girl Scout Gold Award. Girls learn that if they don't follow through, no one else is going to do the work. If they don't do it, then who's going to do it? If they don't do it now, when is it going to get done? If you are passionate about something, you have the power to strike an interest and similar passion in someone else. I also learned from Girl Scouts, and this last one, sorry, I learned a lot of things from Girl Scouts. But I learned not to be afraid of taking risks. Here's another personal story. So we went on another camping trip one time in Girl Scouts, and on this camping trip, we went on a hike. And we're going all the way up the hill, and we get to the top of the mountain, and there's this beautiful view. There's also caution tape that goes along the edge of the cliff. For some reason, I decided it'd be a good idea to duck under the tape and go out to beyond the safe spot, as they called it, on the cliff. I mean, that was tragic enough for the troop leaders to see that one of their girls had ducked under the caution tape and went to the edge of the cliff. What was worse was when every troop member ducked under the tape and followed me. So we actually have pictures of all of us on the edge of this cliff with a beautiful view, but the idea is that I took a risk and I led the rest of my troop to do the same, going beyond the safe spot. Last year was the 100th anniversary of Girl Scouting. Just this Thursday, as Susan mentioned before, Susan and I went to Washington, D.C. So this was the first time I got to meet Susan. I was a little intimidated at the fact that I was meeting the CEO of GSHNJ, but for all of you that know her, and you all do know her, I assume, she's the most approachable, bubbly, and kind person you could ever imagine. And it was really a pleasure to get to know her. So we were in Washington for the release of the Girl Scout Centennial Commemorative Coin. This has been a project Girl Scouts has been working to be approved since 2009. Now, for the first time in history, a girl is featured on a commemorative coin. This centennial coin is representative to the progress of girls in our still largely male-dominated society. We are teaching our youth to believe in themselves and the promise of their futures. We are raising a generation of future women representatives, business leaders, and professionals. Each of you here today have done your part in catalyzing this social movement. Girls around the world are rising up as leaders and are going beyond that safe spot. They're taking risks, unafraid, in order to get a better view of our society. Today, there are so many things to celebrate. Today, we welcome our newest members of the Girl Scout Heart of New Jersey Board of Directors, Officers, and Development Committee members. We celebrate the achievements of the girls of our council. Just as each of you have been doing. As an adult scout, I now look to be a positive influence and role model for the younger scouts, so our girls will continue to be inspired and encouraged to set and achieve their goals. We celebrate that Girl Scouts has 100 years behind us. We have done the unimaginable in this time. I cannot fathom what the next 100 years will bring.